Oh, let me see if I can hear you. Are
Oh,
you okay? Now
you
I can hear you.
you can hear
Hello,
me?
how are you?
Awesome. Hello, Renika. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing well. Great day today.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about you. First, let me give the audience a little bit about who you are, so they have some context. So, Renika is an executive leadership coach and talent development consultant with over 20 years in creating solutions for leaders to enhance their personal and team effectiveness. And she's the founder of Your Next Thought, which offers game-changing coaching and consulting. Did I get that right?
You did. Thank you. I also do some keynote speaking. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And so I'm really excited to talk to you for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is because I know you're a leadership expert, and as a young leader, I'm struggling with this leadership thing,
All
and so I'm
right.
excited. I'm excited to hear your wisdom, and I know that your formula and framework for leadership revolves around three words, which are clarity, courage, and commitment. And
Yeah.
so my first question is, what do these three words mean to you, and how are they relevant in personal and professional?
Yeah, so I just want to double click on one of the things you said is you said, I'm struggling. And a
Yeah.
lot of times we struggle because the thing that is in front of us, the way that I see it, the way that you see it, and the next person sees it is very different. And so the main thing I think is just to have clarity of really what's happening.
Mhm.
So you talk about being a young professional. When we step into the professional arena, what's really happening? What are the games that are being played? Who are the players? What are the things that I need to do? So clarity is about cutting through all that noise, getting to the heart of what truly matters. And courage is one of those things. Everybody talks about courage, right? I was watching television the other day. I think there's a new Superman coming out. So everybody wants to be courageous. And it's kind of like vulnerability. We want to see it in other people, but it's difficult for us to see it in ourselves. And
Mm.
courage means different things to different people, but courage might just be learning a little bit more about something. Courage might be speaking up more about something. Courage might be actually standing in the gap for someone else. So once you really understand the game and understand what's going on, the next thing is just to have the courage. And sometimes it's simply just to ask the questions that need the answers. And then the commitment to that is doing it when it doesn't even seem like it's fun, doing it when it
Mhm.
doesn't seem like it's fair. Because oftentimes, if we are in a situation, especially going back to what you said, is I'm struggling. A lot of times we say, hey, there's an easier way out. I'm going to do this. Or, you know what? Today's not the day. I'm going to take a rest today. And it's like you have to be on the grind every day, every day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I love that. And I want to follow up on what you said. I want to give you some more context, but then also add another C, right? So for me, I think I'm struggling with just being a leader and also being in the global framework to where I'm, a product of Atlanta, but based in Europe now, and having to lead people from different countries, different languages, different ages. And
Yeah.
sometimes I just lack the confidence, I feel like. And so confidence is that fourth C that I want to kind of bring into this conversation and ask, what role does confidence play in leadership and then within your framework as well?
Oh man, confidence is king, and confidence oftentimes is like just being confident in who you are and how you got to the space that you are in today. So
Mhm.
all of the experiences that you have, there's some of those experiences that are very similar to some of those people that you're leading in this global, universe. And then some of those experiences only you have. And so tapping into both of those, finding out what makes me unique. What do I bring to this situation that only I can bring to this situation? I mean, no one else brings this but me. And then also figuring out what am I bringing to this that other people can tap into and they can relate to. And sometimes we have to go there first and find out where there's a relationship, where is there's connection with individuals before then we can show the confidence of saying, I got something that no one else has. Because if we go there first, that's where the doubt oftentimes checks in, right? Like, do
Mhm.
I really have something that no one else has? But if you're connecting with other people, then the confidence will build for you.
So yeah, so a lot of this is about connection. Yeah,
Yeah.
and what are some strategies for developing connection
Yeah.
with people, with teams?
So one of the things I'll say, and it's not my quote, it's actually from a group of coaches that I worked with, P-Link, and we would always say connection before content. And what that meant
Mhm.
was, how do you connect with an individual before you jump into the content? because oftentimes we want to just jump into the work. We want to jump into the outcomes, the things that need to go. And sometimes this is simply as, especially in these virtual settings, asking someone, how are you arriving? So if we came into this space today, I might be arriving really caffeinated. I might be arriving really tired from, whatever. And just to know that, just to put that in the space for you to know that as the moderator, that helps. And so if you're leading a team, just to understand, what are we bringing into this space and how can we all support each other? It doesn't mean that if I didn't get enough rest last night, we're not going to get the work done. Or we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
It means that Renika might have to take a couple of breaks. If I'm overly caffeinated, I'm talking too much, it means I know this as a leader and I have to say, hey, Renika, do you mind yielding to someone else? I want to make sure we get all the voices in the room.
Yeah, I love that. And then like that, I'm curious about your journey. How did you get into this space of what you're doing now and doing the coaching on leadership and consulting and speaking?
Oh man, I'll go slow to go fast, but I won't go too slow. So I am a product of an HBCU. I went to Florida A&M University. And when I finished there, my dream was just not to have to go back home and work. I wanted to be actually in Atlanta. It's interesting you say that. And I worked in the biotech and pharma space for many years. I started carrying a bag as a drug rep. And then my dream was just to be a hospital rep, because that was bigger than just going in to see physicians. And I think mentorship and sponsorship is so important, because oftentimes people can see something in you that you can't see in yourself. So someone saw something in me and said, no, I think your dream should be bigger than that. And so I started in training, I led a team, and then ultimately worked for a number of biotech companies. And my last position was VP of Talent Development. And in that space, the beautiful thing about it was that you really got to see the light bulbs go off. So whether it was someone being in a classroom setting, I did some coaching internally, doing coaching one-on-one. The best thing in the world for me is to see people have that sort of, aha, I get it. And so for me, my journey was first sales. So I'm sort of a salesperson at heart. And then the second part of my career was in learning and development. And this last part has been outside of corporate. So what we call a solopreneur. So I took all the skills and all the learnings from working in a corporate setting to now do sort of the same thing, but I get to do it in different organizations. So I get to peek inside different industries to coach, to facilitate, and to do some keynote speaking.
Yeah, I love that. And so I'm curious, you were in talent development. So there's often a conversation around if leaders are born or if leaders can be created.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a little bit of both, and so I have two sons, and I've always believed that young men need to be involved in something. You got to be in a chess club, you got to play golf, you got to play free, you have to do some sort of activity. And so both of my kids played sports. And even at a young age, you could just see different kids that were just leaders. The team is down by X number of points. That's the kid you throw the ball to. The kid that brings everybody together in the huddle and says, this is what we're going to do. So in my opinion, I think you can be born a leader. I think also it may have to do with the pecking order in your family. If you're the oldest, right, you came out probably being a leader. If you're the youngest, you might have more leadership qualities because you got to watch the others in your family. So I think there are different dynamics that cause people to be born that way. But I also think that, again, that's why I talk about mentorship and sponsorship. I also think that, you can read the books, you can study people, because a lot about being a leader is actually sitting and watching and studying people and figuring out how to motivate individuals, how to get people to come together and collaborate. So I think those skill sets can be learned, but I also think in some ways it's just, some people are just born leaders. They just are.
Yeah. I love it. And then within your story, can you talk about a moment where you've had to show courage and commitment during a difficult time?
Oh man. So I'll tell you a time where I really had to show a lot of courage, and for me it was actually stepping outside of my corporate role. I know it may sound like a small thing for a lot of people, but the first person I called and told them that I was leaving my corporate job, they said, "What, Miss Corporate America?" Because I loved everything about corporate. I loved again, the collaboration with people, the ability to grow my career, all of those things. And I had put on my calendar, we ready, we looking, we out. And I knew that the industry was changing. I knew the leadership within the organization was changing. And that's okay. That's what I tell people, is that it's okay if your values and the values of the organization don't align. That will happen. You'll have new leaders come in, things will change. The question is, what are you going to do about it? And so it took a lot of courage, one, for me to put those things on my calendar. And I literally started from my birthday to another holiday to actually December 30th of that, or 31st of that year. And by that year, I was gone. And so the courage was, what do I do next? But I also say, if you're thinking about what's next in your life, you have to set some things up. So I'd set up some things. I had gone back to do some executive coaching, done some, some speaking, facilitation, that kind of thing. So I knew what I wanted to do, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And that's where the courage comes in to say, and I have a grandmother that did a lot of raising of me, and she used to say, you just got to have faith of the size of a mustard seed. And that sounds good. So you look at the size of a mustard seed, and then you have to have that kind of faith. Then you're like, So it's really just the faith to just step out and say, I believe I'm going to bet on myself this time. I'm going to see if I can do it, and I'm going to bet on myself. Yeah. So that would be it.
Amazing. So we have about 2 minutes left. And so I want to ask you this. Actually, this final question is, and that's just what is a piece of advice or insight that you would give to a leader, or already someone who's leading, and also an inspiring leader, about having and creating clarity, courage, and commitment to excel, in their purpose in their career?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing is to be very clear about who you are. So most people, if you ask them, what are your top values? Most people have no idea. So I would tell people to go out, do some research, figure out what are your top values, whether you do different type of assessment or whatever. So you got to be clear on what your values are. Be very clear around how your values align or don't align with others on the team. And it's okay if the values might be different, but we have to at least understand that, and understand that here's the larger value of the organization, here's where we are, and here's our North Star. So that'd be the first thing I say to any leader. And then for the new leaders, I would say, you got to commit to always having this growth mindset. And it sounds so cliche, but it's true. Trying to learn about the people on your team, trying to learn about the industry, trying to learn about the business. And then the last thing I would say is, just commit to it. I told you I have 2 sons. People want instant gratification now. Yeah. And so a lot of people don't want to think about what their career is going to be like in 10 years or 15 years. But if you keep living, you're going to be there in 10 or 15 years. So be committed to what you want to do today, but also think about the long term around what are some of the things you want to accomplish.
Amazing. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time, Renika, but I appreciate your insights and your wisdom here. Shout out to GatherVerse and the entire team for putting this together and allowing us to come on and chat for a little bit. So enjoy the rest of the summit, and may our gather be well.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Bye-bye.